Hey guys, Andrea here, hope you're all doing well. In this video, we'll talk about the article I spent 4 years going to debt, now how do I get out? Written by Kristin Wong and published on the New York Times website on October 3rd, 2018. Please take a minute to read their disclaimer, and if you agree with all the terms and conditions, let's go. We'll start the video mentioning what's the article about, what's the author's ideas, and then we'll talk in more detail about some points I consider more interesting and important for us to know. If you want to read the article yourself, the link to it will be available in the video description. So what's the article about? You might have guessed that it's about debt. So the author got a total of $10,000 in debt going through college. She used this money to pay for tuition, to pay for books and other materials, and also to pay rent for her house. And by graduation, she was owing $10,000 to the loan agency. The author says that this is a typical situation for many Americans. Many people are not able to pay their college debts and carry them through a very long time in their lives. And the lenders provided the following payment plan to her. She would have 20 years to pay off all debt with an 8% annually interest rate. It turns out that this strategy would result in her paying almost twice as much as she borrowed during her college years, which was very good for the company, but not that good for her. So the author started to think about different ways to solve this problem. Pay less money to the loan company and be debt-free sooner. So the author's plan was to eliminate debt in 2 years or less. And she decided to use the following strategies to make her plan work. A 10% treat 9% debt in all the excess income she got. So she would get her paycheck and she would take all the money she would need to pay for all her necessities, for bills, for food, for housing, and the remaining amount, which wasn't much for her, would be divided in a 10% treat, something she would buy to herself, some food she liked very much, or a concert for some show she wanted to go, and 90% of the remaining amount would go towards paying her debt. She realized that she would have to save big money for that to work. It was not enough just to cut on coffee or these smaller things. So she decided to look for a better job. She decided to move in with her parents, and she set this goal to give herself vacation and travel to Europe once she was done paying this debt. So this goal worked as her motivation to keep her plan going. And this pretty much sums up the article. I will not spoil whatever the author was able to pay her debt or not, if you want to read the article by yourself later. And now we will go into some interesting and important points in more details. The first one are goals, budgeting, and delayed gratification. So the author wanted to be debt-free, and she set herself this goal. She wanted to travel to Europe as well. And this goal, which would bring her a lot of pleasure and happiness, worked as a motivating factor for her to budget and for her to exercise delayed gratification. Since she had a bigger goal in mind, she was able to save money on a daily basis on small things. Maybe there was something she really wanted to buy on a certain day, but then she gave up buying that. She exercised delayed gratification, thinking about her bigger goal and about being debt-free. So if you want to get out of debt, a strategy is very important. Start with your goals, then start budgeting. See how much money you get, how much money you have to use to pay for bills, for housing, for food, and then exercise delayed gratification. Do not spend money on things you don't need. Think about the bigger picture, think about your future goals. Future interest versus principal balance. The author says that initially all the extra money over the minimum monthly payment was being used by the loaner to pay for future interest instead of paying the principal balance. And after a couple of months, she checked the status of her loan and she noticed that her principal balance was not as low as she expected to be. So she contacted the loaner and asked what was going on, and then the loaner said, oh, you wanted the extra money to go toward the principal balance? It was going towards the future interest of your payments, because we believed you were taking our 20-year payment plan. So if you decide to take a loan or whatever financial endeavor in life, pay attention to the fine line, pay attention to the details, and figure out exactly where your money is going. As the author says, being naive about money will cost you. In this article, the author mentions two different strategies to pay debts. First one is the snowball method. It's arguably psychologically friendly. Why? Because in the snowball method, we start cleaning smaller debts first. And once we clear the smaller ones in terms of financial volume, we move on to the larger ones. Say we have two different debts with different interest rates and with different principals. The first one is a 3K debt and the second one is a 10K debt. So using the snowball method, whatever the interest rate is in those loans, we'll start paying the 3,000 debt first. So we pay both of the minimum payments and then we concentrate all the money we have left towards paying the principal of the smaller debt. And once the smaller debt is gone, we start paying the larger one. Now, why is the snowball method psychologically friendly? Because when we start small, we can see results sooner, and this will give us a boost. Second method is the avalanche method. In this case, we clear higher interest debts first, then move to lower interest debts. So say again, we have those two debts, one of 3K and the second one 10K. The 3K debt is a credit card debt of 20% interest rate a year. And the second one is the student loan of 8% interest rate a year. So which one we would clear first? Using the avalanche method, we would focus all of our income and the exceeding amount of money we have after paying for our expenses towards cleaning the higher interest debt, so the credit card debt. And once we clean this one first, then we move on to the lower interest debt. We can say that this method is financially friendly because we end up paying less money. Since we are cleaning the higher interest debt first. But whatever strategy you choose, the good thing is that you are already aware that being in debt is not financially healthy or even overall healthy. So the sooner you are able to pay all your debt, the sooner you are able to move on to better financial goals. And once the author was asked by a friend, why do you care about money so much? Why do you keep saving money and why are you so concerned about it? You should just enjoy your life and don't think about it. So this was the author's response to this friend. People like to tell you that money doesn't matter, that there are more important things in life, like family and friends and travel. They are absolutely right. The problem is, money gets in the way of those things. Money was a constant roadblock that kept me from focusing on the more important things. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you learned something from this video and see you next time. Bye bye.